Hi, it's Jessica Walls-Lavelle.
Hey, Jessica.
Hello.
You could have been more enthusiastic about that. Like, hi, John, how are you?
Hey, John, how are you this morning?
Much better.
It's still early for me, so.
That's true.
Morning, everybody. Austin Davis is here.
Morning, Austin.
Good morning. This is Lori Mizgorski. Can you hear me?
Yep, Lori, good morning.
Good morning, John.
It's 8:30. I'm going to give it another minute and then I'll call the meeting to order. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the Planning and Stakeholders Relations Committee to order. The first thing is the roll call. So first, committee members, identify yourself, please.
Anna Gorick.
Stephanie Carmen.
Jessica Walls-Lavelle.
Okay, other members?
Jen Liptak.
Michelle Smianik.
Lori Mizgorski.
Austin Davis.
All right, good morning, members and other board members. Also wanted to mention, as you know, the meeting is being recorded. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, even though it shows up on the screen. I just wanted to mention it again. Now, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the July 15th minute meetings. And so any corrections to the minutes? Okay, seeing no corrections, do I have a motion to approve as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now, the first item on the agenda are the proposed resolutions that will be presented to the board, provided we approve it at the meeting at the end of the month. The first item is the authorization to adopt next transit long-range transportation plan. I think David said that Amy's going to present. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning, Board Committee Chair and Board members. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Silberman. I'm the Director of Planning and Service Development here at Port Authority. I'm very excited to be here this morning to present Port Authority's final draft of our long-range plan, which is called Next Transit. It's a 25-year transportation plan guiding us into the future. Before I run through a few updates on the plan from our comprehensive presentation in July, I do just want to take a moment to thank some folks for all their hard work on this project over the last 15 months. So I'll start with some Port Authority folks, Kelsey Shannon and Breen Masiotra, and as well as Dave Woolwell, who is our Deputy Project Manager on staff here at Port Authority on this project. And then our consultant group, Janae Smith and Arian Franklin, both Deputy Project Managers, as well as Justin Miller, our Project Manager at Michael Baker International. Couldn't have done it without all of you. We started this project, we brought the consultant team on in February of 2020 with a plan to roll out the plan publicly in May. This plan was supposed to be and continued to be very heavily skewed on public engagement. And so, of course, we had a lot of pivoting to do a few weeks after we started meeting with them in order to figure out how we were going to carry out this plan in the middle of a pandemic. So we pushed through. It was difficult. We had lots of learning along the way, but really appreciate everyone's work and dedication to getting this project through. So with that, a summary, a few brief updates from our presentation that we gave in July, which was a bit more comprehensive. I'm just going to note things that have changed from our draft plan that we presented to all of you in July. So first of all, a summary of the entire plan's engagement throughout the 15-month process. Publicly, we had over 21,000 points of public engagement. So that included people visiting our website, people engaging with our social media, people coming to online meetings, people coming to in-person meetings, and outdoor tents and other small sort of micro engagements that we did throughout, providing us comments on surveys, calling us and giving us their thoughts via surveys, et cetera. So really robust community outreach, public outreach. We thank our community for being involved and engaged in this process and for being patient with us as we figured out how to engage with this process and continued to update throughout the last 15 months. So a few content and substantive updates from the draft plan that we presented in July. I'm just going to go through them briefly this morning. So the first is we had one corridor project that we ended up updating from July. This is Project E, which is our East Busway Phased Extensions project. We had a lot of community outreach and input following our draft plan release. That called for having us look into possibly having this corridor go to Monroeville instead of McKeesport. So we stopped and backtracked a bit, ran some data analyses and looked at the models again and determined that there actually isn't a particularly clear single pathway that would serve more people or do more good by extending the East Busway in phases. So what we've done for the final plan is we've decided to update the language in the plan that will address both of these potential corridor pathways in the beginning phases of planning for this project. So we're showing both of them. You can see here on the side, the purple line that was just a straight line in the draft plan. We've added another sort of tail to that line, if you will, to show a potential alignment going to Monroeville instead of McKeesport. So we will look at both of those when we start project planning for that corridor. And then we had a few program updates. That was the only project update. The program updates, we have also tweaked some things based on public input and feedback we received in June and July, as well as through August. So one of those is being more clear about what we're saying in the long range plan about our affordable fare policies, which was a program that we called out as a high priority. So we've added the following statement just to be a little bit more solid in our commitment to continuing to look at this. So I'll read the quote on the slide. Port Authority is committed to providing a more affordable fare structure for our lowest income riders. We are currently researching best practices at other agencies and using this to create a solution that works well for our riders, our system, and our community. So we didn't want that to feel like an unfinished program or a program that didn't leave you with enough detail about where we were going from here. So Port Authority is stating in this long range plan that we are committed to doing that. Another program that we've updated the language in the long range plan for is our sustainability program. So we have added language to be more specific about what we're going to do with this program as we roll it out. And this program also ties into some of the other programs that are outlined that are a bit more specific as well. So that includes in hiring a director level sustainability position for the agency in the future, adopting a formal sustainability plan as a separate plan, and achieving zero net emissions by or before the year 2045. Along with that program is a separate program, although they're very related, and that is our battery electric bus program or our alternative fueled vehicles program. So we have added more cost information than was available in the draft plan document into the final plan. So that includes an action of developing a more formal rollout plan for battery electric buses sometime in the next 5 years so that we can get a bit more clear about some of these costs. We all know battery electric bus technology is relatively new and rapidly changing. So these costs today may be outdated in 6 months. We don't know. For today, those costs include, if we were to fully move to battery electric bus technology, an annual additional cost to the agency of $22 million over, above and beyond diesel bus replacement costs. And then capital costs, which are one-time costs with ongoing maintenance, of course, but capital costs upfront of upwards of $80 million to upgrade our system to allow for the infrastructure to charge those vehicles and our garage and facilities to be able to handle that charging. So what's next from here? Just a reminder of what the top projects were that we presented in July. So these have not changed, just reminding everyone of what happens next, what we'd like to do over the next 12 months or so. So first, what we were calling Project Zero, which is our operating facility location study and master plan. A lot of words to say we need another bus garage, and we also need to figure out where all of our things fit and where they best fit and where they best work within the system. So starting to get going on that. Project G, which is the first corridor project, which is the East Central Pittsburgh River to River connection. We have submitted a grant to the FTA to begin planning work for that. So we will stay tuned to see if we receive that grant. A downtown transit center. We are continuing to work with the City of Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership on a downtown bus network study that is sort of a step one of starting to look at downtown transit facilities and transit centers and what is needed by better understanding where all of our buses should and can go in the future. And then finally, Project R, the second corridor project on the list, which is a Homestead to McKeesport transit upgrades project. We also have a grant application in the works for this project. So with that, we do have a resolution, recommending a resolution today, to adopt and implement the Next Transit Long Range Transportation Plan. Adopting this will direct our planning efforts over the next many years and prioritize how we allocate our funding internally and how we prioritize grant applications that we put forward to the FTA and other entities. It'll also help guide our staffing additions. We have several programs called out in this long range plan where we do need a staff person to help shepherd new programs and also guide other decision making here internally. Of course, all of that is, dependent on budget and other constraints that we have, including, of course, a very uncertain but hopefully positive future with our ridership. And then we aim to update and check in on this plan every 5 years so that we can continue to see if those priorities are the right priorities, see if any trends are emerging that were not known at this time, especially given the uncertain year we are in right now. And then if we need to reprioritize, we will do that every 5 years. So with that, I would like to respectfully request that the Planning and Stakeholder Relations Committee recommend this resolution to the full board for approval. And that's it from me, John.
I was on mute. So do we have a motion to recommend the adoption of the Next Transit Long Range Plan, Transportation Plan to the full board?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
No second. Ms. Jessica.
Thanks, Jessica. Are there any questions of Amy? Additional board members, do you have any questions of Amy?
No.
No questions at this time.
Thank you. Are there any stakeholders' questions at this time? Seeing none, all in favor of passing it on to the recommending it to the full board, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. And I'd like to comment, thank you for your leadership, both yours and David, on this. And I'm glad you acknowledged some of the folks that made this happen too. So I think that was important to be able to do that. So, all right, well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, board members. The resolution before you is to authorize the adoption of a diversity, equity, and inclusion policy statement at the authority. We recognize the importance of promoting and fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion in and among our workforce, supplier base, community outreach efforts so that we mirror the patrons and neighborhoods that we service in this region. We also realize the critical nature of DEI in fostering innovation and equitable and effective public transportation in this region. So in light of that, to further support our commitment to DEI, we have developed a DEI policy statement for the board's consideration. The proposed policy is included in Exhibit A of the DEI policy statement resolution. This resolution would authorize the authority to adopt the DEI policy, which would be effective September 24, 2021, and in addition, adopt the DEI plan, which would be consistent with that policy. I respectfully request approval of that resolution. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Inez. Is there approval of the motion to recommend to the full board? I have a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for your leadership,
Hold on a second.
Inez, on this
Second.
topic.
Are there any questions?
Actually, it's been the entire company. We've had a lot of support from senior staff, Catherine, and also the ERG groups that we've implemented within the company. We have, as a result of their efforts, we've been volunteering, we've been tracking the diversity within the company, promotion rates, training, et cetera, and we are on the move to make certain that we are more reflective of the population that we service in this region. So thank you, everyone, for your cooperation.
Fantastic.
Inez is John. Just a quick thing. I apologize for not introducing you. I was distracted. I had to let someone in the apartment, so I apologize for that. But thank you for your report and for the hard work in putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Hey, John, excuse me, this is Sandy. You have a motion and a second, but I don't think a vote was taken.
I think you're right. I think, pay attention, John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you again, Inez. Thanks for saving me, Sandy. Now, the next item on the agenda is a presentation of which I'm excited to hear on the customer service improvement and plans. I think Jim and John, you're going to be presenting this. Is that right?
It is, and I'll be brief. I'm just going to turn it over to John in a second, but I wanted to just remind everyone that Chairman Tague had asked a couple months ago that we come to this committee with some information about customer service and maybe shine a light on the things that we do here every single day. So I'm going to step aside and introduce to those of you who don't know him, John Beeler, who is our Director of Customer Service, and John's going to lead the presentation today.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning, everybody. Take some time this morning to give you an overview of the customer service department and how we communicate with our customers and how we process the information that we receive from them. So the discussion points this morning will be, what is customer service at the Port Authority? How our customers contact us, processing customer comments, specifically ADA comments, total customer interactions that we process, training and development of the staff, technology, looking to the future, and any questions at the end. So what is customer service? I think if I asked everybody in the room, I would probably get a different answer. It means something different to everybody. But one definition is customer service provides support for customers through information and assistance while extending a trusting environment. So you may be asking yourself, what is customer service at the Port Authority? So I'm glad you asked that. Customer service at the Port Authority consists of the call center, the service center in downtown, down here, and digital communications, live chat, social media platforms, community engagement events, senior fairs, public meetings, promotions, automated information that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, an interactive phone voice response system or an IVR system that provides arrival times and connect card information, and online forms to submit concerns, questions, comments, and even on rare occasions, accommodations. So these are the different venues that customers contact us: the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, live chat, the IVR, text messaging services, and the online submission form. Here's some pictures of what customer service is at the Port Authority. Upper left picture, you can see some of the customer service folks at a community event providing information. Bottom left would be a customer service agent interacting with a customer at the call center and also servicing the customer in the downtown service center coming in to buy product and ask questions. So processing customer comments. So the comments that we receive them in several different ways: phone calls, digital communication, email, social media, face-to-face, customers come in, or we receive a lot of feedback from customers at community events. Also written correspondence. We do receive letters from customers from time to time to provide us feedback. So when we receive all of this feedback, the customer service agent receives all of the detailed information of the incident. The details are then documented into a comment system known as HASTIS. Once the comment is documented in the system, it is automatically assigned a reference number and forwarded to the appropriate person or department within 24 hours of receipt of the information for further investigation and resolution. Specifically, ADA comments are processed in a similar manner to regular comments. However, we take a couple of extra steps. So besides providing details of the information into the HASTIS system, the comment is then marked as an ADA submission. The comment is then routed to the appropriate person and department for investigation and resolution of the person's comment. Once the investigation and the resolution is provided, the OEO program manager reviews the comment to ensure that it was addressed in a timely and appropriate manner. The ADA compliance officer then contacts the customer back and lets them know that their concern has been addressed. And all ADA comments are tracked on a spreadsheet for further or future reference in case we would need to go back and look and see what the issue was and how we addressed it. So looking at the total comments that we've received over the last 3 years and the impact that COVID has had on that, as you can see in 2019, prior to the pandemic, we received and processed almost 24,000 comments from customers. Compared to 2020, during the pandemic, that number dipped to a little over 17,000. And then as of August 2021, we have processed a little over 9,500 comments. And I would suspect that those numbers would rise as we gain ridership back. They will contact us to let us know how we're doing and if they're having any issues with our service. And the total customer interactions over the last 3 years, the top 3 that we have received regard unsafe operation with a little over 7,000, punctuality of our service a little under 7,000, and pass ups a little over 6,600. So in order to provide the highest level of service to our customers, training and development play a key role in our department. Some of the training and development that we provide includes a 6-week training session for new hires that consists both of classroom and hands-on training. We continually provide continuing education to training to all staff on new procedures, individual coaching and feedback sessions that are done through monitoring. Recorded calls are reviewed with staff, and we just kind of train them and coach them on what they've done well on the call and how we could do better if there are areas of opportunity. And any web-based training, such as handling difficult customer interactions or providing training on how to use empathy on the calls, to empathize with the customers and let them know that we hear their issues and that we are here to help them and resolve their issues. The technology that we currently use is include the ADIS trip planning system that allows us to provide detailed directions to a customer based off of the starting point and where they're going on certain days and certain times. We can put that information in. It will provide us the routes that the customer will need to take, any connecting routes that they may need to also catch, and walking directions once they reach that final destination. The HASTIS comment system that I mentioned earlier, web chat, the interactive voice response system that provides next bus and LRV arrival times, either speech or by touch tone, and connect card balance information. SMS next arrival times, text. Customers have the ability to be at a stop and they can text the stop location, the stop ID number, to a short message code and receive back the next 3 arrival times for the bus or LRV at that stop. Various social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We also have a rail announcement system called Penta that allows us to provide public service announcements along with emergency messaging and also any messaging that would affect the service as far as delays. We can get that information out to the riders. And as the technology continues to expand and evolve, so will our ability to communicate with our customers. And we expect that that would improve over the years as the technology does evolve. So looking to the future of the department, the customer service department, training is always going to play a key role. And as technology evolves, so will our ability to be able to train our staff. Expanding the customer service hours, phone and through the digital means. Currently, our hours of operation are 6 a.m. till 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 on weekends and holidays. However, as everybody knows, we run service longer than those hours, so we would like to be able to have somebody available to assist customers with questions or issues that they may have later in the evening when we're running service. Looking for new customer technology, rail station announcement. We are currently in the process of upgrading that system that will allow us to provide information not only on the rail, but also along the bus line and the stops along the bus line to provide information on delays, public service announcement, things of that nature, and also provide two-way communication with customers. Customer engagement. We are looking to establish a group of customer service agents, a dedicated group that will work with the community engagement department to staff events such as public meetings, fairs, senior fairs, things of that nature, to provide information to customers, answer questions, and also enhancing the experience of the customer in the service center. A couple of ways we're doing that and looking to do that is upgrading the senior card camera process that we currently have to provide higher quality pictures for the Connect card. A greeter in the lobby that can assist customers that maybe come in and have a quick question that don't want to wait in line. We could have somebody out there that can greet them and that can answer their question. Improving the digital signage in the service center, providing more information to customers. A new point of sale system that will allow us to cross-train staff, give us the ability to service customers at every window. In the event of vacations, call-offs, things of that nature, we will always have somebody who will be cross-trained and will be able to step in and assist the customers. One-stop shopping at each window. We would like the customer to be able to come into the service center and conduct all of their business with one person at one time, whether that be buying product, asking questions, planning a trip, or filing a comment. And also soliciting feedback from the customers on their experience. That will help us improve the experience and also identify areas of opportunity where we can make improvements. At this time, anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much, John, for your presentation. It does sound exciting, so I appreciate that. I did have a question, maybe I missed this. Title VI complaints, do we track that? Maybe you said that and I missed it.
Yes, Title VI complaints are handled similar to the ADA complaints, where the information is provided or given into the HASTA system. It's flagged as a Title VI complaint, and that does go to our OEO compliance officer, who then investigates that complaint and takes the necessary action to resolve the issue.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions of committee members of John?
No, I just have a comment. It's nothing like great customer service. I thought your team have done a great job in this presentation, and it's wonderful to hear that we're having a robust plan on customer service. Like I said, I'm big on customer service, having a bad day and needing to call, and it's nothing like getting a nice voice or someone on the other line to handle a situation. So kudos to you and your department in stepping up these efforts. On the flip side of that, I'm really big on paying kudos to the operators who are faced with customers on a daily basis. And I think Catherine and the team has done a great job in recognizing in such a hostile environment, the operators today that is on the front line have done a great job during the pandemic, that we continue to recognize them as well on an ongoing basis.
I agree with you, Stephanie. Just as an aside, I'm always nice to drivers. Anyways, so are there any questions of other board members of John?
Hi, JT, Michelle here. I have a question. John, when you were doing the bar graphs and you included information for the past 3 years on pass-ups, we had 6,600 pass-ups that there were comments, complaints on. Do we know how many of those pass-ups were now taking place under COVID with social distancing? Would you be able to weed that out for us?
Possibly, yes. We could look at the comments and we can run a report to see what was involved, how the pass up occurred. We would be able to get you that information if you needed it, yes.
Okay, because I was just wondering, it kind of goes with the statistics of COVID when we were attempting to keep everyone safe, you know, as opposed to a crowded bus on a typical pre-COVID morning.
Right. Yes, we could get you that information.
Thank you.
So when there's a pass up, in other words, a lot of times the buses are full, and Michelle's absolutely right, because I've been on buses where they've been full and they've passed people up to stop. Drivers call that in, right?
They do, yes. A lot of the pass ups occurred during COVID because of the limitations on passenger count that we had, yes. But they do call that in and they let BTO know that they have passed up a stop due to capacity limits, yes.
Thank you, John. Are there any stakeholder questions at this time? Unless,
You may,
right. Go ahead, Seth.
oh, you may have already answered this. Is there a survey or anything taken from a customer after their experience with the customer service? You may have covered this and I missed it. Is there anything that guys get feedback on and how you track that?
We do not currently have a survey for customer service. We have had surveys in the past in the service center, and surveys have been conducted on customer service also in the past. But that is something that we are looking to implement so that we can improve and enhance the service that we are providing.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions? Hold on a second, Catherine. Are there any questions of John from stakeholders in the room? Thank you very much for your presentation again, John. Catherine, will you come up?
Yes, sir, Mr. Tague. I just wanted to add one comment. The board may remember in 2018, we implemented the Voice of the Customer survey. We did the first round probably close to the summertime and had gone ahead through the process to start another iteration of that. So this would be that more detailed onboard survey. That's being able to ask questions, over a 5 to 7 minute with a passenger, and then tracking the impressions of the customer experience. What could we work on? What were our high priority issues? So we had begun that process, and then with COVID, it became clearly a little bit more challenging to do that face-to-face conversation. So we have done projects like that in the past, and John's group is really working on how can we get that feedback in a world where you stand away from people and you wear a face mask. So we'll continue to work on that.
Thank you, Catherine. That really concludes the meeting. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Meeting stands in adjournment until next month. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining, and thank the presenters very, very much for your excellent presentation. So have a good day. See you guys.
Thanks. All right, we'll just give everybody a minute to switch over their agendas. Hi. All right, I'll go ahead and call to order the Finance Committee for September 2021. I'll start with a roll call of members. Board Member Liptak. Here. Board Member Representative Davis.
Here.
Board Member DeLon. Okay. And any other board members that are already on or just joined, could you identify yourselves?
John Tague.
Stephanie.
Michelle Smianik.
Lori Mizgorski.
Jessica Walsabel.
Okay, thank you. The first agenda item for today is approval of minutes of the July 15th Finance Committee meeting. Are there any corrections or questions on the minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
A second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. And we only have one agenda item today, and that is review of the July and August financial statements. Peter.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and other board committee members. So since we did not have a meeting in August, we will be covering both the July and August financial statements. So for the month of July, our total operating income was 3.99 million below budget, and that's primarily due to the lower ridership from the pandemic. And once again, we'll be using CARES funding to offset this shortfall.
The system has detected that a few lines are still connected to the conference and will attempt to end it. If you wish for the lines to.
I apologize for that. So we've used slightly over $100 million in CARES funding. So there's about 38 to $40 million of the CARES funding remaining. So we will use that in fiscal 22. From our total expense perspective, we were 6.88 million under budget for the month. And that was due principally employee expense was below budget due to lower healthcare expense from vacant positions and lower vacation, holiday, and sick pay. Our materials and supply category was below budget, and that was due to lower material expense. Purchase services for the month was below budget, and that was due to lower marketing, work done by outside contractors, and other services. Next slide, please. Our other expense category was below budget, and that was a timing issue with software license expense. From a subsidy perspective, for the month of July only, we were $880,210 below budget. And that's due to timing issues related to 3 capital reimbursement programs and invoices. This is usually occurs in the first month of the fiscal year. So invoices will begin to come in during August and September to offset that variance. Next slide, please. From a year-over-year perspective, just for the month of July, our total operating income was 1.6 million higher than the previous July. And that was primarily due to higher passenger revenues. So that is a good sign. In terms of the passenger revenues that were higher, we saw an increase and an uptick in monthly pass sales. Also a uptick in annual pass sales, and stored value sales were $200,000 higher than the previous July. From an expense perspective, we were $628,485 higher than last fiscal year's July, and that was due to higher wages and salaries, benefits, and also materials and supplies. Our subsidies were 1.2 million higher than last fiscal year, and this was strictly a timing issue with our state operating assistance that will normalize by the end of the fiscal year. Next slide, please. Looking at operating reserves, just for the month of July, we began the month of July with 113.4 million in operating reserves. We had cash inflows from passenger revenues and other grants of 25.8 million. We had outflows for wages, benefits, and services for totaling 38.7 million. So we ended the month with $100.5 million in operating reserves. Moving on to the August statement. So our total operating income for the month of August was 3.9 million below budget. And for the first 2 months, we're $7.9 million below budget year to date. Once again, that's due to a shortfall in passenger revenues, and CARES funding will be used to offset that shortfall. Total expenses, much like July, were below budget by 5.1 million, and for the first 2 months we're $12 million under budget, with every expense category currently below budget, and that's that does happen in the first couple months of the fiscal year. For August, our total subsidy is 6.6 million below budget, and that's primarily due to a shortfall in federal stimulus funding. Right now, the FTA, we've just been notified within the last couple of weeks, is just going to do a spot audit on our previous CARES invoicing. They're doing that with all the agencies. And so until we get a sign off on our methodology for the CARES invoices, we will wait until we provide additional invoices to FTA. Next slide. Looking at year over year for August, once again, total operating income $2.6 million higher than last fiscal year. That's for the first 2 months. In the categories that we are noticing a increase year over year were monthly pass sales, annual pass sales, and stored value of $1.27 million for monthly pass sales, $591,000 for annual pass sales, and $402,000 for stored value. Expenses were $808,748 higher than last fiscal year for the first 2 months due to higher benefits, purchase services, and other expenses. Subsidy for the first 2 months, $493,000 higher than last fiscal year. And that's due to higher state operating assistance and regional asset district funding. And as I mentioned, for July, that will normalize by the end of the fiscal year. Next slide. So looking at operating reserves for August, we began the month with $100.5 million in operating reserves. We had cash inflows of $61.2 million from passenger revenues, grants, and operating assistance. We had outflows of $33.1 million for the month of August. So we ended the month of August with operating reserves of $128.6 million. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just happy to see the fare revenue going up and going in a positive direction.
Yes, and
nice.
I think it's also a good sign that the annual pass sales rebounded. So I think it does show that there's a commitment for our riders for the month or for the entire fiscal year when you're buying an annual pass. So I think that is definitely good news.
Yeah, that's pretty bold to be making an annual pass decision right now. So
I agree.
That's good. Okay, any other questions from the committee? Any from any board members? Okay, thank you, Pete.
Thank you very much.
That was the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second. All right, we stand in adjournment and we'll see you next month. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Smianek, and this is the Performance Oversight Committee, and the meeting is now called to order. So our first item of business this morning will be a roll call. So we're just going to quickly do a roll call of our committee members. Representative Ms. Gorski, are you present?
Good morning. Yes, I am here, Michelle. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. Representative Davis, are you present?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Good morning. Thank you. Thanks, Representative Davis. So moving on to the second item is approval of minutes. That would be for our July 15th meeting. Are there any questions or corrections after review of those minutes?
No.
Thank you. Hearing none, could I have a motion and a second to approve?
This is
Second.
Lori. So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye to accept. Aye.
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 Great. Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 3, our proposed resolutions. Good morning, Mr. Trona. I see you that you're ready to rock and roll, so thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, board members, committee members. I have one item for your review and presentation to the full board for approval. Bicycle racks. These bids were publicly advertised in our electronic documents to distribute to all. 4 firms accepted the invitation. 4 bids were received for bicycle racks over, these are actually parts over a 2-year period. The low bidder hydraulic electric component supply did not bid all of the line items that were required in the solicitation and therefore ineligible for award. It's our recommendation that the contract be awarded to the low responsive bidder, which was Sportsworks Northwest Incorporated, estimated amount of $113,342.40 over a 2-year period. This price represents a 21% increase in these parts over the previous contracted price for these items 2 years ago. However, the staff has determined that the prices were fair and reasonable and within the funds budgeted. The low bidder actually only bid 2 of the required 5 parts, which made them ineligible. But we did look at the 2 parts that they did bid, and they were higher than the other bidders. So we are very confident that the $113,000 price that we're getting for these parts is fair and reasonable. The other bidders were at $190,000 and $198,000. So we're very comfortable with that. So if there are any other questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you. I have no questions for you. Do other committee members have questions for Mr. Trono on the bicycle racks? Any other board members have a question? Hearing no further questions, could I have a motion to move this forward to the full board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Trono.
Thank you.
Item B is authorization to enter into First Amendment to lease agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation related municipal agreements for the Ross Park and Ride Expansion Project. Mr. Mike Setra. Good morning, Mr. Setra.
Good morning, Madam Committee Chairwoman and committee members. The first resolution that I have for the committee's consideration this morning would authorize Port Authority to enter into various municipal agreements related to the planned Ross Park and Ride Expansion Project. Port Authority currently operates a 500-space park and ride lot consisting of an upper and lower lot on Perry Highway in the township of Ross, which is known as the Ross Park and Ride lot. The lot is owned by PennDOT, and Port Authority leases the lower lot portion, and we also provide service to the upper lot, the upper lot portion as well. Port Authority applied for and received federal congestion mitigation and air quality improvement funding to build a deck structure on the lower portion of the lot, which would increase parking capacity by approximately 360 spaces. And the funding would also help make related infrastructure improvements, including reconstruction of Winter Avenue. That would be the primary entrance to the expanded parking facility, widening of State Route 19 to accommodate turning lanes into the expanded parking facility, new retaining walls, new lighting, and new site drainage and pavement. Cheryl, could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. This slide here just kind of shows, the upper lot, the lower lot, and then the approximate location of where the proposed work would take place that I referenced. In order for the project to proceed and subject to board review and approval, Port Authority representatives have negotiated the necessary municipal agreements, which include a proposed First Amendment to the lease agreement with PennDOT that would permit the addition of the deck on the lower lot site. A developer's agreement with Ross Township, a stormwater facilities agreement, facilities and maintenance agreement with Ross Township. Excuse us 1 second here, we're getting a call. Sorry about that.
Sharon Main Ward. Sharon Main.
Okay, apologize for that technical difficulty there. A stormwater facilities and maintenance agreement with Ross Township. And we are also in the process of negotiating an agreement for the sanitary sewer line extension that would be necessary with the Gertie's Run Joint Sewer Authority.
Hello, this is Andrew Cooper.
I'm sorry, excuse us 1 more second here, trying to get the phone to turn off.
No, in a cup. Make it with distilled water, and then heat up 50%.
Okay, let's try that again. So subject to any questions that members may have, would respectfully request that the committee recommend this resolution authorizing Port Authority to enter into the first lease amendment with PennDOT and the other municipal agreements necessary to move forward with the Ross Park and Ride expansion project. All agreements to be in a final form approved by Port Authority Legal Counsel to the full board for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Setra. This is a pretty substantial improvement over there, is it not? Because I remember visiting over there, and I think this will really enhance that lower lot.
Absolutely, Madam Committee Chairwoman. And in addition, the funding also would provide for repaving and milling of the upper lot. So we'll be basically would be improving the entire site and obviously a substantial addition to parking capacity there.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Any board members have any questions for Mike? Any committee members first, and then any board members? Questions?
Yes, this is Lori Mizgorski. Could you repeat again what you were saying about the stormwater management and the Gertie's Joint Sewer Authority? With going back and forth, I kind of missed what you were saying.
Sure, and I apologize if someone was calling the boardroom.
It's not your fault.
Yes, so there's basically 4 agreements that are necessary. It's the first amendment to the lease with PennDOT since they own the site. There are 2 agreements necessary with the township, Ross Township. One, the basic developers agreement to move forward with the construction. The other for the upgraded stormwater facilities and maintenance of same. And then that last agreement, and the one we're in the process of negotiating with the Gertie's Run Joint Sewer Authority, would be for the construction of the sanitary line extension, which you can see. You should be able to see up on your screen there. It's kind of towards the bottom right there. You can see there's a kind of an orange-ish line there that's marked as the sanitary connection. So that's the line we're referencing, which again would be installed to support the new deck facility and any additional stormwater runoff.
Okay, so I do see it on the map. So that would be for the stormwater to keep, is that what you're saying?
Yes, it would help with management of water and runoff from the site, which, obviously adding another deck there, you have to upgrade those types of facilities.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
What's the time frame for construction? Sorry.
Actually, Greg, I'm going to ask, there was a question as to time for construction. I'm going to ask Mr. O'Hare from Engineering Group to field that one.
Yeah, thank you. So the timeframe for construction, we anticipate construction beginning sometime next summer and lasting approximately 2 years.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Hare, before you go, how will that impact the usage of that lot? Will it be somewhat usable, or how will we handle that with the parking spaces that are currently in use?
Sure, no, that's a great question. So we're phasing the project in several phases so that we can minimize the impact to parking capacity as much as practical.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Any
Greg.
other questions? Hearing no other questions, could I have a motion to move this forward to the full board?
So moved.
I can second that. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Great. Motion. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Setra. And moving off, you're staying with us for item C, which is authorization for settlement of public liability claims. So this is for the cancellary.
Yes, thank you, Madam Committee Chairwoman. This next resolution I have for the board, the Oversight Committee's consideration this morning would authorize Port Authority to settle a public liability claim. An accident involving a Port Authority bus and a private automobile occurred on the morning of March 25th, 2017, near the intersection of Center Avenue and South Graham Street in Shadyside. Port Authority's bus was proceeding down Center Avenue when the right rear door hatch of the bus came open and struck a parked vehicle that was owned by Anthony Cancelliere. At the time of the accident, Mr. Consigliere was attempting to get into his parked vehicle. He fell to the ground and sustained some injuries while trying to avoid being struck by the open door hatch. Mr. Consigliere subsequently submitted a personal injury claim to Port Authority seeking recovery for the injuries that he allegedly sustained as a result of the accident. Following a judicial mediation, the parties have reached an amicable agreement to fully and final settle the matter with no admission of fault or liability by Port Authority in the total amount of $125,000. Subject to any member questions, I would respectfully request that the committee recommend this resolution to the full board for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Setter. Do we have questions from committee people or board members? Hearing none, could I have a motion to move this forward to the board?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries to the full board. Thank you, Mr. Setter. Continuing with an additional claim.
Yes, thank you. My third and final resolution for the committee's consideration this morning would authorize settlement of another public liability claim. An accident involving a Port Authority bus and two private automobiles occurred on the in the early evening on May 30th, 2017, near the intersection of Center Avenue and North Neville Street in Shadyside. Port Authority's bus was proceeding down Center Avenue. Apparently 2017 was not a good year for us to be proceeding down Center Avenue when a hydraulic line ruptured and leaked hydraulic fluid on the roadway. Joseph Lucci was sitting in his automobile at a red light when a second automobile owned and operated by a gentleman named Ryan Luderman lost control on the leaked hydraulic fluid on the roadway, crossed the center line while turning, and struck Mr. Nucci's vehicle. After resolving a claim with Mr. Luderman's auto insurance carrier, Mr. Nucci and his spouse, Eva Nucci, submitted a personal injury claim to Port Authority, seeking recovery for injuries that he allegedly sustained as a result of the incident. Following a judicial mediation, the parties have reached an amicable agreement to fully and finally settle the matter in a release form approved by Authority Legal Counsel that would include no admission of fault or liability in the total amount of $175,000. And again, subject to any member questions, I would respectfully request that the committee recommend this resolution to the full board for approval.
Any questions of committee people or board members on this case? Hearing none, could I have a motion and a second to move this forward?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Setter.
Thank you.
Moving on to item E, authorization to award construction contract for the Central Business District Tunnel Plinth Rehabilitation Project. Mr. Greg O'Hare. Good morning again, Mr. O'Hare.
Good morning again. So this authorization, or this resolution seeks authorization to award the construction contract for the Central Business District Tunnel Plinth Rehabilitation Project. On the left hand of the slide, you can see the project limits. The project limits will start slightly after First Avenue Station in the tunnel, all the way through Gateway Station. On the right hand side, you can see what is the concrete plinths, just to give everybody a little bit of a visual. On the top end of that picture, you can see the rail. The rail is supported by what we call direct fixation plates. Those are the little squares that are beneath the rail. Those will be replaced. Those direct fixation plates are anchored into the concrete plinths. And as you can see from that picture, that concrete plinth there is in poor condition in need of rehabilitation. That condition is consistent throughout the tunnel, and which, oh, next slide, please, sorry. So the scope of the work of the project is the rehabilitation of the concrete track plinths, which we saw in the picture previously, the removal and replacement of the track direct fixation plates, the anchors, and the hardware, the reinstallation of the track, the removal and replacement of special track direct fixation plates, as well as Wood Street Station platform adjustments. The project will be conducted in phases with a contract duration of 930 calendar days, approximately 2.5 years. This will be done during weekend full tunnel closures. During that time, we'll be using LRV shuttles from Friday 8 p.m. to Monday 4 a.m. Golden Triangle Construction Incorporated was the low bidder with a bid amount of $19,280,546. Respectfully request the committee to move the resolution to the full board for consideration pending any questions.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hare. When was the last time we did renovation on those plinths in that area?
Sure. So in that area, those are the original plinths that were constructed in the mid to early 1980s as part of the phase one.
Very, very good. I thought they looked familiar.
Yes, ma'am.
Serious. No, I remember one of the first tours that we had down there. Okay, so any questions from committee members or board members?
No.
Sure. May I just ask a question as it relates to DBE participation? Are we still looking at possibilities of small women-owned companies that are able to bid on some of these projects? Have that been some of the focus as well?
Sure. So that's a good question. So this project is a state-funded project, and as such, we follow the diverse business rules. There is no set goal. However, contractors are required to put best efforts to obtain diverse businesses as part of their project team.
Any other questions? Thank you, Stephanie. Any other questions? Hearing no further questions, do I have a motion and then a second to move this forward to full board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries to full board. Thank you, Mr. O'Hare.
Thank you.
Moving forward with item F on our agenda, authorization to amend general heavy highway and electrical ancillary service contracts with Mr. Eric Bilski. Good morning, Mr. Bilski.
Good morning. This resolution will seek authorization to approve the resolution for ancillary work, which is issued on a work order basis. The scope would include general construction work, which generally includes concrete and asphalt paving, retaining walls, slope stabilization, and bridge repairs. You could see I included a picture of slope stabilization on the south portal of the Mount Washington Tunnel, which is actually ongoing right now. Electrical construction, which includes conduits, wiring, substations. These contracts were awarded in 2019. And we're currently anticipating advertising in September for new contracts. This amendment would increase the value by $500,000 with no change in term. And additional funds will allow the authority to complete this work this fall while we're advertising. The amended amounts are listed on the screen and in the resolution with Michael Fasciana and Schulteis Electric. I respectfully request your approval to move to the committee for approval.
Very good. Anyone have any questions, either committee or board members for Mr. Bilski? Hearing none, could I have a motion and then a second to move this forward?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to the full board. Thank you. Continuing with Mr. Bilski, item G, authorization to award general and electrical construction contracts for the LRT high platform station improvements.
Thank you. This resolution includes a rehabilitation of 18 high platform stations on the light rail system. It'll include platform edge replacement, ADA improvements, tactile warning strip or devices, railings, and repairs to deteriorated platforms. The project would also include new signage and wayfinding and LED lighting upgrades. Additionally, we will put an epoxy overlay on the concrete surface to provide a uniform finish. And as well, we have electrical upgrades related to new fare booths and also new site furnishings like benches and trash receptacles. I included a picture of South Hills Village Station, and you could see the deterioration that we'll be addressing in the project. The project will be 24 months phased construction, so we'll minimize the impact to operations, progressing probably 4 to 5 stations at each phase, so we minimize the impact to the patrons in our operational group. General construction is contractors PJ Dick Incorporated in the amount of $8,729,009.55. 2 bids were received for that general package, and then we will be recommending award for electrical to Merit Electrical Group, $2,042,700, for which 8 bids were received for that contract package. I respectfully request your approval to move this to the full board, pending any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from either committee or full board? Hearing none, could I have a motion to move this forward?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Having none. Moving forward, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Bilski. Moving onwards with item H, authorization to enter into agreements with a pool of firms to provide bus rapid transit construction management services. Back with Mr. O'Hare. Good morning again.
Good morning again. So this resolution seeks authorization to enter into agreements with a pool of firms to provide bus rapid transit construction management services. The scope of work includes constructability review, bid and award period services, construction management and inspection services, field surveying, and claim support services. Next slide, please. Thank you. The request for proposals was released in December 2020. An internal evaluation committee reviewed 5 proposals, conducted interviews with the highest rated firms. As a result of the review and interviews, top rated firms for the pool of 2 firms is CDR McGuire and Hill International. The proposed agreement not to exceed amount of $17 million on a task order basis with a 3-year term base agreement plus 2 option years. Pending any questions, respectfully request the committee to move the resolution to the full board for consideration.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Either committee members, board members?
Make a motion.
Very good. Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. O'Hare.
Thank you.
Our final resolution of the day is I. Authorization to enter into designated service agreements with University Pass program participants with Kelsey Shannon. Good morning. How are you doing this morning, Ms. Shannon?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great, thanks.
Good morning, Madam Committeewoman and committee members. As Madam Committeewoman mentioned, my name is Kelsey Shannon. I am the Director of Business and Corporate Relations. This resolution before you would authorize Port Authority to enter into new UPass agreements with the University of Pittsburgh, Chatham University, and pending ongoing conversations, Carnegie Mellon University. As this committee is aware, I'm sure the previous UPass agreements were entered into in 2012, and they were extended several times while the fare study was completed and due to the pandemic. Among other terms and conditions, the expired or expiring agreements, respectively, for the universities with the UPass program participants provided that per tap, each university would pay Port Authority a fee of 50% of Port Authority's then base fare. Under the new agreements being proposed to you today, per tap participants pay Port Authority 60% of Port Authority's current base fare in the first year of the agreement. This agreement features 3% rate escalators in years 2 through 5, meaning that by year 5, per tap, participants will be paying Port Authority 72% of Port Authority's base fare. For the time being, this will continue to be done using university-issued identification cards that are compatible with Port Authority's smart card-based collection system. With that being said, and subject to any questions that the members may have, I would respectfully request that the Performance Oversight Committee recommend this resolution authorizing Port Authority to enter into the new UPass agreements with Pitt, Chatham, and CMU to the full board for approval.
You're on mute, Michelle.
Thank you. Any questions from any committee members or board members? Okay, hearing none. Could I have a motion to move this forward to the full board?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Great. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Shannon.
Thank you.
That comes to the end of our agenda here. Any committee members have anything else to say? Otherwise, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Great. Thank you all. That concludes our meeting of performance oversight. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, this is Jen. I'm going to give everyone a minute to switch over to their agendas. So please do so, and then we'll call the meeting to order. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the Technology Committee to order. I'll take a roll. Representative Ms. Gorski.
Present.
And myself, Jen Liptak. I believe other board members are still on the line. Will you please identify yourself for the record, please?
Michelle Smianik.
John Tagg.
Stephanie Turner.
Thank you, board members. I'd like to proceed with the first item of business, which is a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting. Lori, may I have a motion?
So moved.
And I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's move on to our first item of business, which is a resolution authorization to extend and amend the agreement with the Trans-America Training Management to provide Oracle PeopleSoft training services. This is Inez. Inez, you're up.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and board members. The resolution before you is, as stated, seeking to extend an agreement with Trans-American Training Management Incorporated. In September 2018, the board authorized an agreement number R1803 with that same organization for an initial 3-year term, which expires October 31st, 2021. The services included but are not limited to the establishment of training objectives and measurement of effectiveness, development of training courses and associated materials, and conducting training courses. The agreement provides for an initial 3-year term with the option to extend to an additional 2 years at the sole discretion of the authority. To date, the training has been completed satisfactorily, and we've determined it is in our best interest to exercise the first option year of the agreement to extend the agreement to October 31st, 2022, with no increase in the not to exceed amount of $200,000. Unless there are any questions, I respectfully request that you approve this resolution.
Thank you very much, Inez. I'll ask if there's any questions of Lori.
Yes, I have a question. Is the different training programs that they provide, is that something that all employees go through, vehicle operators, management, or do they have different programs for different departments? How does that all work?
The training that we're referencing right here is PeopleSoft, and that's used for HR, human resources, and finance. So that training is available to those individuals that have to utilize the system in order to get the work done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any questions from other board members on the line? Seeing none, Lori, I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
And I will second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Let's move on to our next item, which is an authorization to an award a construction contract for the carrier transmission system, CTS, replacement project. Eric, I believe you're up.
Good morning again. This resolution will involve replacement of the carrier transmission system, CTS, which is the backbone for our communications network on the authority's light rail transit system. The new CTS utilizes 10G high-speed digital Ethernet network, which will replace our existing 20-year-old system. Additionally, we will install fiber optic cabling to fill in. Currently, we have fiber optic, but this will complete our network, which will obviously increase our ability to provide top quality signaling for rail signals and transmission to our substation equipment rooms. The picture on the right shows the typical rack that this equipment would be housed in our equipment room. And in the middle of that rack, like the greenish blue, you'll see there's like a box that's like we call sonnet equipment. That's the piece that'll be replaced in the project, and it'll be upgraded with the new high-speed equipment. On the bottom picture, that's the uninterrupted power supply, which is a battery backup. In case we lose power, we have power continuity to keep the communications in the light rail system operational. Additionally, with the project, we'll be replacing head-end hardware, which is workstations and servers, as well as software programming and system testing at the rail traffic operations. The project will take approximately 26 months to complete from the contractor's notice to proceed. In the contractor's Wellington Power Corporation, the amount of the contract would be $13,575,000, for which 2 bids were received. And with that, pending any questions, I respectfully request the committee to recommend the resolution to the full board for approval.
Thank you very much, Eric. I'll ask if committee members or first have any questions. Seeing none, is there any board members that have any additional questions? Seeing none, okay. I don't as well, so I'll ask for a motion to approve this item.
So moved.
And I'll second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our final item, which is an authorization. Thank you very much, Eric. An authorization to enter into an agreement with Scheit Bachmann USA Incorporated for a TMB and SOT software update to load stored value to the Ready to Ride mobile ticketing app. Really, Jeffrey, are we doing this?
I was going to say, can you say that 3 times fast?
Yeah,
I don't think I came up with the name, so I won't take credit there. But first off, I really want to thank the committee for moving that prior resolution for the CTS, the carrier transmission system, to the full board. That is a really critical piece of our technology infrastructure. And as Greg was talking earlier about the Plinth and the downtown rail, we have a lot of legacy technology on our rail side. So this project is really the first of multiples that you'll see over the coming years. So we're really excited to get this one moving. Sonnet Ring, the technology that he mentioned at one point, it served us well, but it's time to upgrade. So we really appreciate that. So let's talk about Ready to Ride. Back in July, the board approved the Title VI analysis that Ellie's group had worked up, which enabled us in August to start our soft launch with Ready to Ride. And we've run about 4 weeks with it now. Ellie ran some numbers earlier this week. We're seeing about 2,500 riders every day using it, either the Ready to Ride app or the Transit app. We're getting good feedback, working through some of those early issues, of course, but we're really excited at the progression that we're seeing week to week. As I said, we're up to about 2,500 riders a day using the Ready to Ride. And as we promised, when we released it, that we would have future phases where we'd work into the cash digitization to make it more accessible. And this is the first of those. So right now with our Connect Card TVM machines that are located across the county and our sales outlet terminals located in Giant Eagle and Goodwill stores, folks can use cash or credit card to upload money to their Connect cards. This resolution would upgrade those TVMs so that folks can either use cash or credit if they so choose on those TVMs and upload the money to their Ready to Ride account. So this really enables folks who are carrying cash and may not have a bank account, but are still carrying a phone to be able to move that money and digitize it through our TVM network and our sales outlet terminals to our Ready to Ride accounts. So this is a really great integration as we start to work on ways to tie our two legacy fare collection systems together. So it's a sole source with Scheid & Bachman because they manage the TVM software for a tune of $197,200 to have this work done. We expect it'll take a few months, but we're excited to see this next phase of the Ready to Ride project in the cash digitization side. And I'm going to ask you to say cash digitization 3 times fast. So unless there are any questions, I respectfully request the committee take this resolution to the full board for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, and thanks for that great presentation. You helping to shepherd this project through. I know we're still not, near complete, but it's been a great project. We're very pleased, and I'm very pleased as chair of your work and your work with the team. So if there's any questions of committee members first? Seeing none, any questions of board members?
Yes, Jen, quick question. Go ahead.
Sure, go right ahead.
How many of these units do we have out there?
TVMs. I'm looking at the field. Adam, do you have a number offhand? I'm going to say it's in the 90s, but I could be wrong, okay. So I would like to verify that. We'll get that back for you. I'm sorry, I don't know offhand.
That's okay. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? Oh, go right ahead.
I would like to thank the staff once again for their commitment to exploring the possibilities of other areas and communities to make sure that we're effective and these machines are accessible. Again, good job, staff. You guys do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
It's a great comment, Stephanie, and I think we all can echo those comments. If there are no more questions, I will ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
And I will second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I believe that's the end of our agenda. So on behalf of the board members participating in the committee meetings today, I'd like to close out the technology committee and the committee meetings for today. So thank you everyone for your attendance. Thank you to staff and board members and members of the public. With that, the meeting stands adjourned for the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.